In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace your wiper transmission, which is actually the linkage that connects your wipers to the wiper motor, and it is located underneath this cowl. To start this job, we're going to have to take off the wiper arms, and to do that, you want to pop off this little cap. I'm using a trim tool, and there's a 15mm nut down here, which we'll have to remove. To pull the wiper arm off, sometimes it's stuck on here, so you have to flip it up and then just wiggle it back and forth until it pops off. And there you have it. Set this aside and do the same to the other one. With both of the wiper arms off, you'll see some Phillips head screws that go along the cowl. There's one over here, and I'm just going to work my way from one side to the other, removing all of them. Now with the hood open, you'll see some clips that look kind of like this. They hook the cowl onto the body. To remove these, you can use several different things. I'm just going to use a pick and pull them off. Try not to lose them. And I only have two, but if you have more than two, go ahead and take all of them off. And the cowl does separate into two pieces. So the driver's side is one piece and then the passenger side is another piece. So I'm going to gently try to lift up on this. I'm going to pull the weather seal up. Okay, there's the driver's side. Slide it in and out. Now we can take the passenger side off. Now let's unplug the motor. There you go. You gotta press on this little tab, pull the connector aside. Now we can unbolt the wiper transmission from the vehicle. It's bolted up with several of these 8mm bolts that you can see going right across. So I'm just going to start on one side and work my way to the other side. Now you can lift up on this. It might be a little bit stuck in place, but after you get those 3 bolts out, it should be able to slide out. You just will have to find the right angle that it wants to slide out at. Okay, here's what I'm going to do to ease the removal. I'm going to plug this back in and I'm going to activate it so that the arm, this one underneath, goes that way just a little bit. Okay, I'm going to get ready to cut the key. There we go. So now this part kind of follows the curvature of the transmission. So I'm going to unplug it again. Set the wire aside. Now let's try again. And there we go. I'm going to close the hood just because it gives me more space. Alright, now with the hood closed and this part out of the way, we can slide it up and out this way. There you have it. Try not to damage your paint in the process. Now I don't actually have a new wiper transmission, so I'm just going to show you the procedure with this one, but just assume that when the motor goes back, this is a new wiper transmission. Right here, if you flip this over, the motor's underneath, you can see 4 8mm bolts. We're going to have to take all of them out, but I'm going to start with this center one. That connects the shaft of the motor to the transmission linkage here. 8mm socket. Take this off. Might have to wiggle this off of here, or actually I'm just going to use a pry bar. Set this aside. Now we're going to unbolt these 3, also 8mm. Lift this up, and here's your motor. Now, assuming that this was a new regulator, you want to make sure that it's positioned the exact same way as the old one. It's important. You don't want the arms to be different. You don't want them to be facing the other way. And you definitely don't want this to be facing a different direction because then it won't line up. The wipers are just going to go in all different directions where they're not supposed to. So take both of your wiper transmissions and put them right next to each other and make them identical. Make them as close as you possibly can. And then assuming that this was your new one, I'm going to put the motor underneath. We're reusing our old motor. I'm not going to worry about the center shaft. I'm just going to worry about the 3 mounting holes lining up. And don't confuse the bolts. Well, you can't really, because the one that bolted the linkage to the motor was this one with the larger built-in washer, and the mounting bolts were these 3 that look the same. So start all these in, and don't tighten any of them up until you start all of them. That way this can still move around and position itself as it should. Let's tighten these up. Now take this and line it up. Tighten this one up. Okay, now we can reinstall. Slide it down. Be careful not to scratch your paint. Okay, try to position it into place. And now we can start in the bolts. We can actually start them on right now with the hood still closed. Don't make these too tight. You'll crush the rubber bushings and ruin them. And there you have it. Now let's put the cowl pieces back. Try to line it up the best you can. Before I put the driver's side one back, I'm going to go ahead and plug the motor in. There we go. I'm going to put back my 2 clips on the cowl here. And now I'm going to start putting all the screws back in to secure the cowl back down. Now, if you remember, we stopped the motor mid-cycle so that we can make the wiper transmission actually fit to come out. So now we have to put it back into the park position, which means the wipers are all the way bottomed out where they're supposed to rest. And that way when we put them on, they're lined up, because right now it's still mid-cycle. So I'm going to turn my key to the on position and it should correct itself. There we go. It went right back. Just to make sure, I'm going to give it one more cycle. Okay, I'm going to stop right there. Shut the key off, put the wiper arms back on, try to line it up the best you can. Put the mounting nut on, we'll snug this up. Put the cap on, then we'll do the same to the passenger side, and then we'll test them out. Just so we don't turn these on with a dry windshield, I sprayed some glass cleaner. Let's give them a test. Okay, so it looks like this one should go up a little bit more. That way it finishes its wipe over here. Other than that, it looks perfect. I adjusted it. Let's try again. Okay, that's better. There is one last thing we have to do, and that's this weather strip seal here. Line it up and press it down into place. This prevents water from getting inside the engine bay if it runs down the cowl. And there you have it.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.